Good evening, Sparrows. Welcome to the room. I am Valerie Miller of TVM, and it's going to be a juicy night tonight. Okay, it's Wisdom Wednesday. We have a phenomenal guest with us. It's going to be an author to author conversation, and you can't hear. Hold on, he can't hear me. So just a moment. Okay, Sparrows, we have our phenomenal guest with us, Jarrod Dixon. He is in the room with us right here, right now. It's going to be an author-to-author conversation tonight. So welcome to the room. Come on in, get cozy. It's going to be phenomenal. Jarrod is a minister. He's the author of 8 books and more. So we're going to learn in detail as he is going to share with us how he has come to be. The main story that we're going to be talking about tonight is the Golden Lightning Bolts. This is what he has written. I'm so intrigued by it because it's coming from a Christian standpoint. That's what intrigued me the most and felt it to be imperative to bring him on to engage in deeper conversation pertaining to his number 8 book. So welcome to the room, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And I know we've, been back and forth and was supposed to have you on before. Unfortunately, we were unable to connect on that particular night. But that's okay. It's okay because you're here now. We're doing a pre-record. So as long as I get you in the room to share your information, that's what's most important, right?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Amen.
Great. Great. So please introduce yourself to the Sparrows. And of course, your followers know who you are. But go ahead and share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just carry on with conversation.
Okay, I'm an associate minister at my church, First Longtown Baptist Church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My pastor is Dr. Dennis W. Bishop, senior pastor. I've been in ministry for 19 years. And just to give you just a little brief bio, like I said, I'm an associate minister, 19 years. I'm also a Christian counselor, have my degree in Christian counseling, Christian psychology. And also, I am the author of 8 books. I have a 7-part series, The Traveler's Touch Saga. And that is, okay.
Okay, can you hear?
Well, I can hear you because you blacked out screen. There we go. We got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we good. Okay, but anyway, yes. So picking back up, I have a saga out, the Traveler's Touch Saga, selling worldwide. Walmart picked up 4 of the 7 books. That's awesome. I have 4 international narrators picked up 4 of the 7, and this is doing real good. And so that was the first one was released in September of 2016.
Okay.
Anyway, that book is about it's a story about angels, and I'm just setting you up to where I am now with the Golden Lightning Bolts.
Perfectly fine.
Part 6 saga is about angels. They have chosen specific humans, and what they're doing is they're recruiting these humans to be superheroes, Christian superheroes.
Love it.
Okay, therefore, thus you have, the Traveler's Touch Saga.
Okay.
Okay, but it is also the reason why I believe it just blew up and it is doing as good as it is right now.
Right.
Because it's also about spiritual growth, self-help. It's also about self-discovery and basically like a self-help. It's like a self-help. It's a fiction, and it's a Christian superhero saga. So, and I've gotten great feedback and reviews saying, man, we've never even really seen anything like this, heard is.
I agree.
And so it's like self-improvement. But anyway, that's the 7-part series. So now the book that you have that's out now, my 8th book, The Golden Lightning Bolts,
yes.
that is not a part of the saga. It's somewhat of a spin-off. And so when I wrote it, I'm also an aspiring film producer.
Okay.
So this is a sense, is my original story to be turned into a movie. So I'm in the process right now of trying to get a movie deal. So this is the original story. Then it would have to be converted to the script, the screenplay. I'm also a screenwriter. I did not write the script for this. I'm more so interested in writing the original story. This right here is going to be a trilogy.
Yes.
Part 2 is being published now. I'm actually working on part 3 now as we speak. But anyway, so now you have part 1 of the Golden Lightning Bolts. So and that brief description right, I just wanted to share with you how I led up to the Golden Lightning Bolts. But anyway, like I said, I'm a minister, Christian counselor. I also have my line of clothes out, as you can see. This is Touching Lives Ministry. That's my ministry. Touching Lives Urban Apparel. So I'm just kind of like supporting one of my shirts and my hat right now. So
well, slow down just a little bit, because we've gone from 7 books to the number 8 being a spin-off of the 7, and the number 8 is going to be a 3-part trilogy.
Yes.
Okay, you're filming a movie. It's going to be a screenplay coming from the original writing of the book, and then you have a line of clothes.
Yes,
and that's just a snippet of everything that you just verbalized. So let's kind of back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's back up a little bit. I want to make sure I hear everything correctly to get all of the juice. All right?
Okay.
Where did all this begin? Even from the first book, because you mentioned the 7 and then the spinoff. Where did all this writing begin? Were you always a writer? Have you always longed to write? Where did writing come from for you?
That is a great question. Well, let me say this. I was always intrigued with psychology.
Okay.
Not so much, I'm going somewhere with this. Not so much as writing. So I've always had a gift of psychology, even before I went to college.
I get that.
So now with the gifts of psychology, this is before I, went into ministry officially in 2000. Writing comes along with psychology. So I didn't really do any type of writing officially until I started writing sermons. When I accepted my call in June of '99 into the preaching ministry. Then I started writing my sermons.
Gotcha.
And then, I went into, you asked why the answer to your question is, how did this come about with the writing?
Yes.
So let's say, I guess, originated from writing sermons. And you know how your gift can evolve.
Yeah.
So this is say the gift evolved, and the gift was watered and fertilized at Venice Bible College in Winston-Salem, where I received my Christian counseling degree, Christian psychology. So my instructors, my professors, they strongly encouraged me to consider writing seriously, and so I did. And so fast forward to 2015, when I got my degree in July of 2015. Let's see, November of 2015, I began writing The Traveler's Touch, Part 1. The story came to me. I'm already accustomed to writing sermons. By this time, I'm already accustomed to writing papers in college. And so it just came naturally. The gift was clearly divine.
I can see that.
Clearly supernatural.
Supernatural,
so
you say? That's hot.
I mean, I've written, glory to God, I've written how many books in 3 years? 8 books.
3 years.
It's 8 books. Praise God. Well, 9 to be technically correct, because
you are truly on fire.
Now.
You're on fire.
Glory to God.
That's nuts. it's great within itself. I've written the one in 2017. It was published, right?
Amen.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. However, it's at least 7 more inside of me. I'm writing number 2 now. It is so, I won't say it's hard, but it's challenging.
Yes.
To make the time to focus on it, because life happens, right?
Yes.
Life happens. So, my gosh, how did you stay focused to write that amount of books in only 72 months time? That is very interesting.
That's a good question, because right now, as we speak, I'm also a mentor. I'm also a mentor to young writers who are endeavoring to get into writing and become an author.
Right.
And so I'm mentoring quite a few people with talent to write. And so this is I share. And I know everybody has a different path. Yes. Everybody has a different testimony, a different story. Everybody even has a different formula, a different process. I've averaged writing a book in 3 months. And I'm just going to share this with you because this is a conversation.
Yes.
My oldest son named Juwan, he is a producer. He's a record producer. He's a film director. Him and my daughter-in-law, Shawty, in Atlanta, they are the owners of Vision Fuel. Okay. But anyway, he said, Daddy, that is just bananas. He said, who writes a book on average in 3 months? my books are like, as you can see, like between 120 to 150 pages. Right. I try to keep them at 10 chapters. So this is a method to my madness. So I try to keep my books. My books write itself. You're an author, so you know what I mean about when you put your pen to paper and the story just writes itself. It flows. Like it's alive. You know, the story takes control of your pen. That's when you know you have the gift. You know, this is just a tool, and the story just writes itself. But anyway, I'm working full time, which I still have my hands, friends. And I'm working 10 hours a day, 6 days, and overtime. So when you're writing and to just try to paint this picture clearer for you to help those out there, the audience, you have to say, okay, give yourself a deadline. And this is what I share when I mentor. I say, give yourself a deadline.
Honey, I've done that.
You done that?
Oh gosh, yes. But I think the difference between you and me are that what you're writing is fiction. You're writing fiction. So you have the storyline, you have the plot, you have everything in process. You have your outline for that, even within the 10 chapters. I write nonfiction. I'm writing real life, present now, and some things that I have to recall from memory. So I have to look at that. So it's a difference. So I have to have that quiet space. I've got to go back into that time in order to write authentically. I have to write that truth because I write from a memoir standpoint versus fiction.
Okay, you know what? Now let me share this with you right here.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. Because as a screenwriter, I'm also a member of the Screenwriters Guild of America East.
Okay.
So I have 5 screenplays, movie scripts that I've written, and I've got.
Who are you really?
Excuse me.
Who are you really?
Yeah, right. So I have them already. I mean, I got the copyrights from Washington D.C. But anyway, I haven't pursued this sell any of them because around the same time I'm in college. You see, so I had to focus on college.
Gotcha.
But anyway, I have 5 scripts. And when you talk to a film producer, a filmmaker, director, or any anointed, any gifted visionary with a story, because we're just storytellers.
Right.
We receive a story in our sleep, at work. We receive a story, and then sometimes we can receive. I'm telling you the difference of how I was able to do 3 months. I receive a story just like I'm a screenwriter. I'm a storyteller. I receive it, the total story, and all I have to do is make the time to let the story I'm ready to get myself situated again. I'm on my laptop. I have the story. 3 months. You know the process the process in writing fiction, okay. I'll write it, then you clean it up.
Yes.
You understand that,
yes.
right? You write it, you go back and clean it up.
Yes.
You rewrite it, you clean it up.
Yes.
Okay, so the 3 months just flowing. Boom. On average, I don't know why. It's 3 months. The book. Boom. I said, wow, that's another book. This book right here, the Golden Lightning Bolts. I started writing it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I started Black Panther about 100 million times. But anyway, it inspired me. I mean,
Okay.
I already had this story. You know what I mean? The story was somewhat percolating. It was already. But when I started Black Panther, it inspired me. And you know what? I was like a little kid. And so I came in my office, brought my laptop open, and I went in. I said, let me go here with the story.
It was like
in
that?
In April, I was finished. I was like, good. Glory be to God. I said, the story is done. And then another thing, see, as an author, you have to get it published too.
Yes.
Another thing, publishers jumped on it. So it was published I finished it in April. It was published in May. We through the publishing process. So the process was long. The process was six months. So, sometimes it's a long time. You can go from 3 to 6 to 8 months to have a book published. So we got it going, the process going.
Okay.
3 months.
3 months time. That is amazing. But that is pretty good. That's pretty good to have a formula that works like that. With me, I write my own books. I self-publish. I don't use a publishing house because
I got you.
That's not my path. So I just feel like if I want it published, that means I'm going to have to get the editors in place. That means I have to get all these other people in place. Because the first one, God said, you will write it. You will do it from beginning to end by yourself. The only help I got with that book was my niece.
Okay.
She created the cover. She created that. That was it. So it was something that was very personal to me, and I wasn't about to just hand it over to somebody else to do. So, and then being a memoir, it was very sensitive. So with that, the process isn't that long.
And that's why self-publishing is a blessing, because you had that option to go that route.
Yeah. Yes. Because that was what God said. You're not going to think about a publishing house, because that was my first thought when he said, write the book. I was like, who are you talking to? I'm not getting ready to write that book. What are you talking about? However, needless to say, it's done. It's completed. It's out there. So thank you. But, it really took a lot in order to accept that it was happening. So once it was done and I sent it to the publishers and just ordered a proof of it, it was back lickety split. I mean, I had my book turned around once I submitted it.
Okay.
And I think I probably sent it back twice for proofing.
That's right.
In a week, 2 weeks time.
Really? That's awesome.
It's quick turnaround. But like you have the publishing house, so you have distribution, you have all of these other things that are set up for you. Whereas I use my distributors, but the thing is they do a great job with what they do. However, the rest is on me. And the reason I am grateful to have that particular path is because it is my baby.
Amen.
And I want to be the one to market it. So mind you, it's late 2019. So I really hadn't started publicizing the book until pretty much this year. I mean, it was for me self-healing. I didn't want to push the book out there. I mean, I sold copies, I put it out there, but at the same time, that wasn't my intention, although God had other plans. So it is out there. It is helping a lot of people that I never thought it would help in ways that it has. So the purpose of it, like you were saying, self-help, I won't say that mine is self-help. It's just a vision of where you can be if you handle your business. Accept things that have taken place in your life and grow from those things rather than wallowing in the same space. So it's things like that. And I know you understand it coming from ministry from that standpoint. So I think this is pretty juicy because you're nonfiction, you're fiction, I'm nonfiction, and coming from both sides of the fence to see how at the end of the day, if you have books to write, it can come to life. It's up to you to do it.
Amen. And I have to say this because it was such a blessing from God to me. Unexpected blessing just blew me away. My books are in Barnes and Noble. A 7-part series. But now, and we're talking about going back to 2016 with my saga, when the Traveler's Touch saga. It's a fiction, but it's a self-improvement. And that's self-help, self-improvement, self-discovery, right? So I blended two different genres, so to speak. You got fiction and you have self-help. And so it's unique because what I did was I have a Christian message of self-help and self-discovery and self-improvement. And the Lord said, wrap it around this story. It's so cinematic that you could visualize it and see it on the big screen. You see, so that's what I did. And so being a called, anointed preacher, I said, okay, God, okay, here I am. Okay, make me into a preaching machine, the writing machine. And a visionary. Just go ahead and just put it all together. And so now when I wrote, and I wrote for myself, my own personality, my own unique style, my own business, you know. And so when it flowed, and I have people, you can tell that, you know, you're a preacher and how but it's not too preachy. You know, it's more or less teaching, more or less counseling in a writing format. What blessed me was in 2016, I did my first book signing. My 7th book signing, praise God, is in October in Atlanta, Georgia. So this will be my first big city book signing. My 7-1 in October at Purdue Bookstore in Atlanta, Georgia. My first book signing was in Barnes and Noble in Winston-Salem, my hometown. I wanted to know which section. I thought they were going to put my books in fiction or Christian fiction. They put my books in the spiritual growth, section in Barnes and Noble. It blessed me real good. Because what that said to me was my book is more than my book, my saga is more than just a Christian fiction. They decided to put it in spiritual growth. I said, well, glory, hallelujah. That was my point. It's a story, it's fiction, but it's spiritual growth. And I just say
that says a lot. And it's meaningful. It's meaningful to know that you can be put in that category because there are a lot of people who don't have a direction. They may not have an idea of how to resolve an issue, but if they pull your book off the shelf, then they can get a plethora of things just by flipping the pages in one of those 8 books that you have. I mean, and it's encouraging to read them all. So it doesn't matter which number you read that. Now you're inspired to read another and then another. Wait a minute, let me just go back to the beginning and then let me just read all of them and catch up to now. So that's how you definitely sell 8 books, you know?
Thank you for marketing me, sister. Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's the way I would look at that. Because usually if I'm going to read somebody's work, I want to see how far back, what have they written? Is it a series? Is it a trilogy? What is it? Who are they? I've done the homework on that. And usually I've always been one for self-help, you know, training of myself because I like my brain to stay fresh on top of things that I'm interested in. So, and not just that, you know, all of my meat comes from the Bible. That's number one. So that's where everything comes from. So by you being a Christian and writing it for Christian material, that was catchy as far as I'm concerned, you know, and looking at that, mine fall into that also because I am a Christian. I live spiritual and conscious. So I wrote my story because of the way it unfolds. I couldn't have gotten through all of the things I've gotten through in my life, which is the title of the book is How I Became Fabulous and a Lady All the Time. So a lot of people will see that title and think it's about glitz and glam of who they see me exterior. A lot of people don't know who I am inside. So it takes time to get to know me for who I am. And you know my love of God, my love of Christ. That's a part of my everyday walk. It just is. So no matter what I go through in life, that's my first consult. That's who I talk to. That's who gets me through it all. So when you see fabulous on my book, of course, I always say that I'm fabulous, but at the same time, fabulous is referenced through Christ. I became who I am through Christ. That's where fabulous comes from. So we all have different names for our higher power, for our God or whatnot. And in the book, I refer to Jesus as Big Brother. I mean, that's how I talk to him. That's how I look at him. If he's the Son of God, he's my brother. So I look at that way. And so, and utilizing, the symbolism of sparrows. If God can take care of the birds of the sky, then he'll definitely take care of me, no matter if I've lost children. It doesn't matter that I've gone through heartbreaking relationships. So yes, that's the metaphor. So that's what the sparrows symbolize: overcoming, trusting, believing, knowing, living life, going on with life, although this has happened. Life does not stop because tragedy happens.
Right.
Joy is still there.
And I can tell you were born to write.
I love writing.
Born to write. You got to have a certain, I'm going to say, divine measure of creativity and imagination. And you were born to write, my sister. You keep on writing.
I love writing. I love writing. It's just so many things in life that pops up. It does. And if I could just be on an island somewhere, you may hear me say often, Isolation Island. I'm on Isolation Island. It's because that's me one-on-one with God. Because when I'm one-on-one with him, I'm getting all the juice I need to do the things he's put in my heart to do. So that's where all of that comes from. I paint very vivid pictures. That's why I don't have interviews. I have conversations. I like to talk to you without restraint. I like to just get to know the person that I'm communicating with. And I'm not going to send you a list of questions and say, hey, Jarrod, why don't you just go ahead and just answer these questions, and this is what we're going to talk about.
I'm still doing that. Yes.
Exactly. But it's tough for some people to gather the difference between an interview and a conversation.
And this was new for me.
It's okay. You've been educated on that.
It's great. You're just working my intellectual muscles, working my brain.
That's what I do.
I like it.
That's what I do. And I love what I do. And in essence, writing that first book, I've always journaled. And like you, I've studied psychology, but had no intention of using psychology for what psychology was meant for. It's just understanding the brain. That's what I wanted psychology for, not to be a psychologist. No, that would be boring for me. I didn't want that. So being a vibrant person, colorful person, I don't see things as everybody else see. And being the person that a lot of people communicate with, come to for advice and things like that, I never wanted it. However, it just was. So I had to accept that as a part of my call. This is who I am. This is how I was intended to be. So utilizing and understanding that, I had to put that into motion. Okay, God, what's with this book? And then he said it's going to be a 3-part trilogy. And like I said, I'm writing number 2 now. And the thing is, it's also the foundation for my business of TVM, personal branding, the Valerie Miller. And Valerie Miller being my name, that's who I am. However, the "the" in front is putting God first. If you look into Webster and look up the word "the," and you will get to the very bottom, all of these descriptions of what "the" means, at the very bottom, you're going to see God. The is God. So when I put God first, that's where the D is. That's putting God first. And I am second. I'm second to him. So that's why it's the Valerie Miller. So that's why my name is what it is. And it's a lot of meaning. It's meaning to that. My businesses come from that. My main company is Visions LLC because he gives me so many visions for so many things.
That's wonderful.
You see? Awesome. So taking all of that and making it platform, even you and I talking right now, is that very thing. This is work for me. I do what I love every single day.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Right. And I'm trying to get to the place where I can, and I'm working on it. And some things are right around the corner. You know, I have a lot going on. I want to go into full-time ministry. You know, like I said, I've already launched, praise God, my clothing line, touching lives, serving apparel, the book signings, the movie deal. Oh, I'm working on it.
It's happening.
With God's grace, with his perfect timing, good people around me, like my wonderful wife, and good people like you who help me, assist me, promote me.
Got you.
Yeah, so.
It's easy to do, to see somebody work as hard as yourself. The vision is already coming to fruition. It's just all about the timing. So when he speaks and say, okay, Jarrod, today's the day, or okay, Jarrod, December the 2nd is going to be it for you.
That's right. Amen. He only knows.
Don't stutter. That's right, because that's how it was for me. He gave me a date and I obliged, and it was the absolute greatest day. When you are obedient and trust and know and not doing things out of order and allowing him to prevail the way he has already put within us for these previews that are in our minds that he show us. Don't do things out of order and touching it and start manipulating. That's what I've had to learn to not do, because you throw things all off track and it doesn't align the way it's supposed to. You still get there, but you hinder yourself from getting there quicker than you could. So,
and you know what? I have to say this. This is your show. This right here is just so inspiring. Even to me, even the conversation. Let me say it like that. This is so inspiring. And in Touching Lives Ministries, what God gave me, it's broad. It's broad. Not only touching lives, and we know that there are different. Not like we have different nationalities.
Right.
We have different religions, but you and I both know that Christianity is a relationship with Christ and God. You know what I'm saying? It indwells in Holy Spirit. Right. You and I know that. Right. So there's no limits to my ministry. So with that being said, I am an anointed visionary, and so in touching lives, and not only do I would love to see people come to know God in a personal way through Jesus Christ, but also I love that I want to help people reach their destiny. You know, fulfill their goals, fulfill their dreams, regardless of the nationality, regardless of their choice of religion. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So because once we help them and we point them in the way, the road, the path of their destiny, it's on God, you know, to reach them, meet them, touch them, change them. I'm just called to touch lives. I know I cannot, you know, change, transform, but God touched me and he empowered me to touch others. Right. And so with that being said, this show is so inspiring. If I was just a listener, like when you're sparrows, if I was just a sparrow listening in, I would be so inspired in this conversation right now. It would inspire me to say, you know what? I have been procrastinating. I know I have this gift, this calling. I know I need to birth this stuff. I need to go ahead and when this conversation is over with, I need to get on it. That's how that would make me feel as a sparrow listening, because this is just so inspiring.
Well, you said it all. You said it all. Thank you very much for saying what you said. because that's what TVM is. And it's inspiration to transformation. And without being inspired, you can't possibly change. And in order to transform, you are changing. And you change by starting with a relationship with God and understanding that there is a higher power. We all may call him a different name. That's because of different nationalities, different places in the world. And that's to be respected. It's no different than me calling him Big Brother or, you know, God, Jehovah. You know, we all have different names.
Well, it's just like our nationalities and ethnicities ought to be respected.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. And so it's different ways. It's all about alignment and living your life as completely fulfilled as you possibly can. And if we're living our birthright gifts, because they do make room for us, just as the word says. So if you're living your birthright gifts, then you're in complete balance in your life. Complete. And that's in your career, that's within relationships, that's within your health, that's within your spirituality. So when you have all of those things aligned, then what is there to complain about? You should be the happiest sparrow on the planet. Because if any imbalance anywhere, then those are the areas that you should be working on. Your life tells your story. Wherever you're bruised or broken, that's where you need the most work.
Amen. Amen. I like to say, it's in encouraging someone like the Sparrows who are listening, unlock and unleash. I preached a sermon, it's maybe about 18 years ago, about breaking free from the spirit of mediocrity. Let me say that again. Breaking free from the spirit of mediocrity.
Love it.
My thesis, I can't remember everything verbatim. That's like 18 years ago or so. But anyway, it's about unrecognizing. You recognize that you have a gift. You recognize that you have a calling. You recognize your purpose. You recognize you recognize why you're here. You understand that. You have embraced that. It's a matter of, like you just said, life happens. Because we talked about earlier about 3 months for me to write a book on the average. Life happens. Life comes in. But I like to encourage and exhort people, and your sparrows in particular, on this format, to unlock and unleash. I mean, it's just as simple as you procrastinate.
Yes.
Okay? Today, let's not procrastinate. Let's unlock. Let's unlock that treasure that's in you.
Isn't it amazing?
But you can't just unlock it. You have to unleash. You have to unlock and unleash. That's a start. But if you can never finish if you don't start.
Right.
You've got to unlock.
And now it's it.
That's why it's called hidden potential, because it's hidden. That's why it's called a hidden treasure. It's on the inside.
Right.
So you have to unlock it. You yourself. We can't just wait around. We can't wait around. We can't even wait around for God to unlock it.
No. He's already given it. It's up to you. Exactly. That's what it's about.
And unleash it. So that's a word of exhortation I would like to release and speak to your audience, our audience tonight.
You just did.
Yes,
you just did.
Man.
And guess what else? Guess what else? The title of my book, the second book of the 3-part trilogy, is called Sparrow Unleashed.
Stop playing.
No.
Really? You see?
Being brave, being bold, and being fierce.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So it's part 2. It's unleashed because you have to accept everything that's going on and what has happened. That's book 1. That's the realization.
Right.
Inside looking out of what has already happened, who I have become, how I became fabulous. This is who I have become.
Amen.
Okay. So part 2 is acceptance. I accept me. I accept me. You see? So that's Sparrow Unleashed. I'm unleashed in the midst of acceptance, because until you accept, you can't possibly become who you were born to be. You can't become.
That's good.
You see?
That's good.
So yes, and I won't say anything else about part 3.
Confirmation for you. You've already received it 100 times over.
100 times over. Yes, it's powerful. It's liberating, and to say being brave, being bold, being fierce. Those are 3 points of who I am as an individual, who I have become because of all the things I have been through. To get on the other side of that is always peace once you're in the midst of the rainbow. That's after the storm. So once you're standing in that peace, then you're standing in acceptance.
And that is immensely inspiring.
Yeah, that is, it's some good stuff. It's good stuff. And it's a lot of changing that I've gone through on that island of isolation. The more time you spend with God, the more you become who you are supposed to be. And that's a choice. It's a choice. We have that free will. And a lot of people prefer free will and just settle for just enough versus getting the full frontal of it. I want to be getting all of it. That's what I want.
And see, now you can see more clearly why I was just so blessed to know that my books were in the spiritual growth section.
Yes.
You know, I mean, my goodness, I mean, you have to grow spiritually.
Yes, every day. And that's the consciousness of it. Being a conscious lifestyle strategist. I knew I am not a coach. A lot of people, oh, you're a life coach. I said, no, lies. I am not a coach. I am not that. I'm not offended by that. I just know for certain that's not what I am. Now, you may see on my tag, you're a conscious coach. And that's just so some people can gather an understanding that is in that peripheral vision there. Like it's in the focus of. However, when you are really accepting of yourself and not painting your canvas to be somebody who you're not, you can stand and be is powerful. To be who you are authentically, that's power within self. That's what I'm talking about. I introduce you to yourself.
That's good.
That's what I do.
You know what? Yes, and look, your books are gonna fly off the shelf. You're going to fly off the shelf. People are going to say, get your sister Valerie Miller's book right now. It's going to just sell globally.
And that's the thing. I've never thought of it that way. I'm having to really construct my mind now. It's to the place to where before, when I worked 9 to 5, per se, 8 to 5 and whatnot, that was what I did. But the day God said, April 20, 2018 is going to be your last day in corporate America.
Amen.
I said, who are you talking to? I said, who are you talking to? It wasn't a congratulatory moment. I said, what do you mean? Because life, as I knew it, would change. I knew it was going to change. That meant where I was comfortable with going to work, having a salary, doing my stuff on the side. I always had something extra on the side. Now you're telling me this is what I have to do full time? And he waited until after the book was released. And then he started showing me these other visions, prepare for this, prepare for that. And of course, I'm obedient. I prepared for those things. So with that said, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And with, the passing of my son on April 20, that's his birthday. That's his birthday. So I was always kind of in my feelings on that day. I would take the day off from work, because that's just me dealing with me during that time with the wonder, how would he be? How would he look? What would his personality be like? All of those questions and playbacks. However, he said, you've dealt with that long enough. Now I'm going to give you something fabulous to look forward to and something you can be excited about on that day. So he's taken the pain and shifted it to something exciting, scary, like bold, brave and fierce. All of these things that I had to be in order to accept his challenge to do it. Because I could have said, no, I'm not giving that up. I'm not getting ready to do that, Jesus. Who are you talking to? You know,
Right.
but I did. I accepted it because I love challenge. I love change. I embraced it. And I knew my heart needed something different to celebrate on that day.
Right.
Remember, but don't wane in it, you know?
Right.
So that was the excitement and the liberation for me elevating in that time. So April 20, 2018 came, and that was the day. I mean, that was my last day. I walked out that exit, and that was it. But by this time, now all of these things are coming in. Programs are coming to mind, all of these things of what I'm going to be doing. That's where TVM came from.
Right.
This very moment, you have opportunity to change once you become yourself.
Amen.
Stop shining and hiding behind other people. Be bright and vibrant being yourself. Don't follow anybody unless you're following Christ. Those types of things.
Right, and I'm glad you just said unless you're following Christ. See, I like to look at it as a ministry.
Yes.
It's like what you're doing, you have so many components of how you can touch somebody's life with your business, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same with me. That's why God gave me Touching Lives Ministries. Yeah. So I'm doing different things, like you said at the beginning. I'm into so much, but everything. The Bible says that whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. Yes. So therefore, and then I like another scripture that in the book of Jude, verse 22, and some have compassion, making a difference. Okay, so you put those two together, and whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God, and some have compassion, yes. Making a difference. So to me, that spells ministry. Ministry to touch lives. And, you know, like the Bible says, some plant, you know, some sow, some plant, but it is God who gives the increase. Yes. So we just want to sow seeds. So, and sowing seeds, I just look at it as a ministry. Like with all you're talking about, you're visionary. I'm a visionary. Yes. And you have, we're entrepreneurs. Yes. But aside from not only are we entrepreneurs, we're still ministers to a certain extent. You're still ministering. You're still offering a way to touch and to change somebody's life for the better, and hopefully to the glory of God. Yes. Because all of that, what I'm trying to do, I want God to be glorified. Period. If I'm doing it, and if it looks like, walks like, smells like, talks like, it is not glorifying God, then I need to get back into the lab. You know, I need to reassess. I need to reevaluate. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's ministry. It's about touching lives. It is. And I know, you know, in essence, you know, that's what it is. And a lot of people feel like ministry, you have to be in the pulpit. And I'm like, no, you don't. The word is the word. It's live every day. It's all in the presentation. You know, my wife, she says that all the time. It's about teaching. Ministry goes beyond the four walls. Yes. Yeah. So that's awesome, and that's true. Yes, because we all have a responsibility. And when we have a responsibility, it's up to us to share what we know and to bless as many people as we can cross within paths. So that at the end of the day, real talk, when you decide to follow your wind and tap into yourself, that's when you can really, truly, honestly live in freedom every day. That's living in freedom. That's freedom. Unlock and unleash. And I'm going to have to say this too. I've been waiting to say this. You know, you keep talking, you keep saying that. Fabulous. What's the name of your book? You say it again. How I Became Fabulous and the Lady All the Time. Okay, now look, part 2 of the Golden Lightning Bolts. It's called the Fantabulous Golden Lightning Bolts. Fantastic and fabulous. It is called the Fantabulous Golden Lightning Bolts. When you read my book, I don't know if you came across it yet. You'll see where I say that. You know, throughout the book. Yes,
And I crack up every time, you know, like we're in dialogue with texting about the show, about whatever, when we were, you know, back and forth with all this. You would say that, and I was just crack up every time. I said, this man right here, you know, and just having the energy that you have and the passion behind what it is that you do, it sells itself. And I say to clients, I say to anybody, every opportunity I have, is that when you have a product and you're an entrepreneur, it's not the product that sells, it's the person that sells the product. So just to have a vision of who you are and understand who you are, your passions, and how you became who you are, that is the story that sells the product.
That's good.
You'll never encompass everything within the books. But when you can have dialogue and conversation with the person who wrote the book, now you're doing something.
And you know, I've talked to, can you still hear me?
Yes.
I've talked to writers and authors that say they don't care too much about book signings.
Love it.
To me, book signings is such a blessing. Now, to me, I mean, because, you know, your opinion is your own opinion. But in my opinion, book signing is opportunity for ministry.
It is.
I love it. I mean, I love the energy in book signings, and I love it. My wife has been with me to all six, and then like I said, we're going down to Atlanta, and we're like a team, you know, and it is just awesome, you know, to for me to live out my dream as an author, and I'm signing books, but a lot of times it's a divine setup. People coming in, and the next thing you know, I mean, we're like in ministry mode, and you know, your smile, your friendship, your kindness in the ministry, you know, handshakes and just loving on folk and listening to them. That's a ministry, and it can be a life changing ministry. I love it. So
it is a wonderful thing, and not, you know, only that, because it is a beauty in all of those pieces, but it's also an opportunity to be grateful and say thank you to the people who purchased that book, to even be a follower of yours and believe so much in you to where they purchase your work and then have the desire to come out and see you and get to meet you. That is what the blessing is. It is.
If you allow it. If you're already a humble person, and humility is a top priority of yours after the Lord has, wakes you up and you start your day. If humility, if you want to be a humble person reaches people, and a humble person changes people. If you're already a humble individual and you are driven, so to speak, by humility, then you are so grateful. I mean, and you know what, and that energy, you know, is so genuine, and it just sets the atmosphere, even in the book signing setting. You know, it's just, I mean, the energy, I mean, because you feed off of it. And I'm hopeful, and I believe that people feed off of my energy of humility and gratitude, you know, because nothing is phony, nothing that I don't carry myself like I'm all that. And you know, you are more blessed than I am for me to sign your book. No, so the devil is a liar. That's not it. Yeah, right. I'm grateful, and I love each and every person who steps up to me, you know, and I make sure that they know I love them. Mother Teresa I'm just a fan of great quotes. Mother Teresa said, and this is one of my books. I mean, I probably have 1,000 quotes combined with all of my books. And you see a lot of my quotes. Yeah, in the Golden Lightening Bolts. Mother Teresa said, when somebody, and I'm paraphrasing, comes into your presence, they should leave out of your presence better than when they came into your presence. That is always on the forefront of my mind, and therefore, you know, I'm always in a mode to touch lives. When you met me, when others meet me, when you leave my presence, when you finish talking to me, my life.
Yes.
Glory be to God.
This very moment, TBM, this very moment, make every moment memorable. And that's what it's about. Be memorable. Leave a mark on somebody by being grateful, showing kindness, a smile, something as simple as a smile or a hug can change.
The world needs that.
Yes, it's important. It's important.
Smiles, hugs, genuine.
It is.
Care, concern.
Yes.
The world needs more of that.
Yes. Yes. Go nuts with it. I believe in it, you know, and the program Trinity 365 has a lot of that in there. You know, when, you know, I have a client to come and it's full encompassed. It'll change your life transition type of program, and it's something in bringing the simplicity of things back to human nature, because as human beings, it's such a faux pas now in community to where you can't even hug anybody anymore. Right. If you're looking at them, they think it's a problem, you know. So what happened to kindness and care? Like, what happened to that, you know? And these simple things need to come back, and it starts within community and within the villages of where we came from, to implement those things, to bring it back. Put some of this, you know, these tablets and all of these pieces of equipment that has taken our focus off of reality, and really get back to engaging, being caring and kind human beings toward each other and for each other, you know?
And that's to all people. That's to all people.
Yes, that's worldwide.
Look at all barriers. That's right.
It's
on a global scale.
Yeah. Guess what?
Talk to me.
We've talked an entire hour. Our time is up.
Glory be to God.
Isn't that something?
I feel like I can drink a gallon of water.
It is so good. See, now you understand why it's so juicy. Huh?
Is that okay?
Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. It is. Now, how would the Sparrows get in touch with you?
How can the Sparrows get in contact with me as far as
your books or whatever the case may be?
Okay. My book, The Golden Lightning Bolts, you can order it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. You can just Google The Golden Lightning Bolts.
Yes.
Simply, you know, Google The Golden Lightning Bolts. Just ask Google, just say The Golden Lightning Bolts. All of my information is going to pop up. I've tested it and tried it. And so I'm telling you, I know what you grab your smartphone and say, The Golden Lightning Bolts. You don't even have to say by Jarrod Dixon. You can from my saga, my 7-part series, you can say books by Jarrod Dixon, and all 7 of them will pop up.
That's
you
it.
Can order them. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
It is. It's that easy. It is that easy, especially when you can go to Amazon. It's perfect, because everything you need is right there for most, but it's great to go to these other entities also. I am conscious to have individuals to do that with my book. Like, don't everybody order from Amazon. I know Amazon is a hot spot, but go directly to the bookstores. I need you to go to Barnes and Noble, Books A Million.
There you go. That's right. You can walk in the bookstore, any bookstore, and you can order it. I mean, yes. You know, I've done it too. I mean, if it's not on the shelf, even in one good thing about Walmart, I don't know if Walmart has picked up this one, but like I say, they picked up 4 out of a 7-part series. And what's awesome is you can just, if you're already in there, if my book is not on the shelf, you can just go to someone and say, I'd like to order one of the Travelers to Saga books by Jarrod Dixon, and boom, they can do it. So that's a blessing.
Love
and we're talking about being grateful and humble. I'm grateful and humble unto God. You know, I'm just so thankful.
I'm grateful too.
I'm thankful and I'm blessed, just like the Lord blessed me to be on this magazine cover, and it says, grateful, thankful, and blessed.
Amen.
Yes,
you should be very proud.
Yes, also with my line, the Touching Lives Urban Apparel, you can go on my Facebook page, and right now, until I get my website and everything set up for that. But for right now, you can go to my Facebook page and you can see how to order my apparel, and yes.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm grateful to have crossed paths with you. It's been a joy having you on Wisdom Wednesday. It's been a true pleasure. I'm grateful to finally have gotten you on. It just didn't feel good in my spirit to just let it go because we couldn't connect on that particular day, and knowing my schedule the way it was and not being able to get you back on. So this is the least that I can do to pre-record and bring it in that way. You're quite welcome. I'm grateful, and I wish you the best in all of your endeavors. Just be sure to keep us posted with what's going on with you, and as you're climbing up the ranks, and I'll be sure to do the same. You know, it's just very inspiring, and I enjoy the conversation. I told you it'd be juicy.
Amen. It's just juicy. Before I leave, I have to say this. I didn't get a chance to say this in the home sector. I just give honor to God, my Creator. I give honor unto Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I give honor unto the Holy Spirit, my teacher and my God. I want to give a shout out to this wonderful, awesome woman. Without her, I would not even be here. My wife, Cynthia Dixon, for 29 years, and she is just help me. She's an awesome help me. The definition of help me. I need help. My brother needs help. I'm a work in progress, and without that woman pushing me, helping me, oh my God, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here speaking to you or your sparrows. Not one sparrow.
Well, so Cynthia, continue doing what you are doing, ma'am. Keep him aligned, because if he's not aligned, he can't possibly lead you. So with that, continue to do what you were blessed to do. That is awesome.
God bless you. To God be the glory, sister. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for the evening. I want to thank you for your time and coming in. And we'll definitely be keeping in touch. Keep me informed with what's happening with you. On that note, Sparrows, I appreciate you joining us this evening as well. You know I love you that much. And on that note, love without conditions, always possess a positive attitude, and soar in all you do. I love you, mean it. Which is
Amen.
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 Take care.